Hi, this is Mountain Sky Runner. Welcome to my above a garage apartment that I can't afford in this small mountain town. So today we're going to talk about heart rate zones, which is one of the ways we can use to measure our progress in running. There's another way we can use pace, but that doesn't really work for hills. You can get grade adjusted pace or gap from your watch or Strava, but it doesn't work the best if you're running on rocks or snow or mud. And then the best way you can run is just running by feel. After running by heart rate for 2 years, I can look at my watch and have a pretty good guess where I'm at. But you need to learn your heart rate zones first to get there. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's first talk about what we can use to measure our heart rate. The most common is having a wrist watch. It does a heart rate from there. And the way it does this is there's green light that measures the movement of red blood cells under your skin. This doesn't work the best if you have dark pigment in your skin or if your hands are cold, you have reduced blood flow. You can wear gloves. If you're skinny like me, it helps put your watch down over some flesh instead of over bone. And the biggest problem with these is sometimes instead of doing your heart rate, it'll pick up on your running cadence or how fast your feet are moving. And if that happens, you may have to readjust your watch or just realize that your heart rate data is not going to be accurate for that run. And for that reason, when I'm actually doing a workout where I want to be in zone 3 or 4, I'll use a chest heart rate monitor. So the way this works is there's 2 electrodes that measure the electrical activity of your heart. There's also an accelerometer in here for some other features. And this is more accurate. I found if it's really cold, sometimes it doesn't work that well. So if you're sweating a little bit, that helps with the conductivity of electricity. But yeah, I just kind of wear this just if I'm doing a workout to have a better, more accurate idea where I'm at. But most of the time I just glance at my watch on other days just to know where I am. All right, so let's talk about heart rate zones. So there's a bunch of different methods. There's 5 or 6 zones in some. I stick to Uphill Athlete's kind of 4-zone method. It's just simpler and it puts things in neat categories and you can enjoy running more instead of worrying about where exactly you are all the time. And so, we learned last week that running easy is where you want to be, and that's going to be zone 1 or zone 2 depending on how well trained you are. And what's neat about these zones is that they're made by distinct metabolic places in your fitness. So at top of zone 4 is going to be your max heart rate, and this doesn't matter as much. I'll show you later how to calculate this online. And then the top of zone 3 is your lactate threshold, and we'll do this another week, but basically it's a hard uphill effort where if your heart rate goes up 1 more beat per minute, you can feel that you cannot maintain that pace for long. So we'll do that. That's your lactate threshold. Okay, so the most important zone is your aerobic threshold, and that's the one that can actually move and get better as you get more fit. And there's different ways to test that. You can use a lactate meter in the field. I prefer the heart rate drift test, and I think I'll talk about that next week. But that's going to be where you start your tempo. So that's going to be the start of zone 3. And then zone 2 is kind of like an easier effort. If you are not well trained, you want to do most of your training in zone 2. But if you're well trained, zone 1 is where you want to be because your zone 1 is going to be so fast that zone 2 is going to be too much work on an easy day. And then it's important to realize this, but there is a floor to your zone 1. So your slow runs can actually be too slow. So I'll show you that here online just now. All right, so here is the Uphill Athlete zone calculator. I'll link this below. So don't worry about your max heart rate just yet. I'm putting in my anaerobic threshold and my aerobic threshold. And now I get my 4 zones. All right, so with Strava, here's the max heart rate formula. If you end up going higher, just change it later. But if you put that in, you get some zones that aren't probably that accurate, but it's a good place to start before we actually do the zone tests. All right, for a Garmin watch, their zones aren't the best. So go to your watch, go to user settings, and then I'm going to reset it to my max heart rate. And you can see they just do 10% for each zone, which doesn't really mean a whole lot. So I would put in your Strava zones if you don't know your actual zone, just as a place to start. I'm just putting back in my real numbers here. And then this one you could put your floor in for your zone 1, and then save. All right, I'm out on my recovery run. Here are my totals for the week. I managed to squeak out 70 miles. Had a really good 11-mile tempo, felt good. Snow's starting to melt a bit. And I got some dirt on my long run on Saturday. But in the third loop, I couldn't stomach another cold, wet, hour-long slog in the snow on the ridge. So I turned around. But it felt good running on dirt for sure. Right, that's it for this week. Please like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time.